Welcome back, everybody. This has been a long time since I've done a video like this where I straight up just point the camera at the carpet and put a thing there where I'm going to talk about it. And this thing I think is very interesting. This is a Micron Electronics laptop from the mid-90s or so. I found this at a flea market I was just at, and you can open it. The hinges are actually really good. They're like rock solid. I'm just like, how? This is astonishing. Yeah, the laptop's kind of dirty, it needs a clean, and it's obviously seen better days, but aside from some dust, it doesn't seem to be functionally broken. The owner did say it powers on. I did confirm that, but I don't know anything more about this computer, meaning its specs, or its, hard drive, or operating system. It does say it has an Intel Pentium. We're gonna see how true that is. It has MMX, so I'm gonna say this came out about in 1995, maybe mid-96. Running Windows 95 allegedly, but we'll see how true that is. Anyways, without any further ado, let's turn this thing on. And the power button is on the side. It's kind of weird. I have to hold it, and it beeps at us, and it's a Pentium MMX 266 megahertz. Wow, that screen is dim. Okay, let's enter setup. Check date time. Okay. It has 32 megabytes of RAM. It thinks it's 1998. It is not. It does have a hard drive in it. 51 gigabytes. No, 5.1 gigabytes. No. Yeah. I forgot how to read megabytes for a second. It seems to be otherwise normal though. It's kind of crazy how little BIOS screens have changed in the last few years. Windows 98. And it does appear to be loading. Because Windows was not properly shut down, one of your hard drives might have errors on it. Yeah, nowadays when you shut off a computer without no warning, it's just fine with it, There's so much redundancy built into modern operating systems. It's actually pretty incredible. This screen has such bad viewing angles. But it looks like a TN or TFT panel. So this seems to be past the era where you get super blurry active matrix displays. See, infrared plug-and-play serial port. This thing must have an infrared thingamajig on it. Source Windows 8 CD-ROM. There must be a CD-ROM, Windows 98 CD-ROM in the disk drive because it is active. Actually, I might actually have a Windows 98 CD. Let me see if I can find anything. So I do have a Windows 98 SE not startup disk, but operating installer disk, but this is a DVD. I think this is a CD-ROM drive only. We're gonna put it in and see what happens. Otherwise, I'm gonna really hope that we don't need that. Oh man, is this a 90s relic or what? And there's Office Scan doing that thing. I actually could still run that software if I set the date correctly, I guess, but, and yeah, this is not incredibly interesting. I mean, this looks like pretty typical. There's a couple of web browsers, Internet Explorer, Netscape. I doubt this thing has Wi-Fi, obviously, but maybe if I connect it to the router, we can do something. That would probably, instantly get my entire house exposed to the internet, but, whatever. ArcSoft Camera Studio, Mavica floppy utility. Someone was using this floppy drive for a Mavica camera. If you don't know about those, they're cameras with floppy drives built right into them. That's what they save to because they were cheap and abundant. That is until flash memory became a little bit cheaper and it was more compact and simpler to design and more reliable, so yeah. And okay, this computer is not disappointing. What is all of this stuff? Alright, so I've got the full specs pulled up here. As you can see, we have our 32 megabytes of RAM. Is a Pentium MMX running at 266 megahertz, like we said. The graphics card is a Neomagic MagicGraph 128 XD. Whatever that means. And it looks like a Joseph Lawton used to own this, and don't worry, we're going to be nice and nosy once we get this computer properly functioning and seeing what's on it. So I finally got a actual program to open. but it looks like it's being kind of finicky. A lot of these are. There's missing files and shortcuts and stuff. I really don't know what I'm doing. But it looks like there are some presentations on here with Microsoft PowerPoint. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that this computer was probably used on a network or an external drive of some kind. Because a lot of the programs, they are pointing to directories that don't exist on the hard drive, which kind of makes sense. It's only 5 gigabytes. You don't have a ton to do with that. But that also means that I don't think there are actually a lot of personal files on here, which is probably good. Yeah, there is literally nothing in the documents, not even in this pictures folder. Program files has software on it clearly, but I don't think any of it works. Text files should be stored locally though. I mean, they're tiny. Let's see if there's any juicy documents in this thing. Okay, yeah, I'm not finding anything particularly interesting on these drives, or they're partitions of the same drive. But apparently, I guess Microsoft Word could make shapes all the way back in 2000 something. I never knew that. I thought that was a more recent feature. There's a few cool things about this. Internet Explorer and Netscape are obviously installed, but so is Java and DirectX apparently. And this is a Pentium MMX. It's excelled in, multimedia workloads. Maybe perhaps this person watched some content or just wanted a enhanced web browser experience. I don't know, but we're going to open one of the web browsers and just see what comes up. Obviously, we're not going to be able to do anything with it. This is a relatively recent version of Netscape. Oh lord, it's asking me for a dial-up connection. Fun fact, I've actually never had to connect to dial-up, so I have no idea how to do this. We're gonna click cancel? Yeah, there's not a ton here, and I also don't know how to use this. Bookmarks. Oh, well there are some imported Internet Explorer favorites. Maybe we should go to Internet Explorer and see what that's all about. So, interestingly, the cached web page is attbusiness.net. I imagine this laptop was property of not Internet Explorer, AT&T back in the day. Crosslink.net is probably their old provider. Work offline, yeah. Though I don't imagine this has anything cached on it, but it looks like the old owner used this more often than they used Netscape. So let's see. We got Adventure website, which we obviously do not have. The Education website. And the Sierra website. Sierra, I think, was a game company, manufacturer, developer company, I don't know. And AOL and unlimited internet, that's pretty funny. The Netscape marketplace, I guess, is not a thing anymore, probably. I don't imagine I can work offline with anything. Yeah, it's really strange though, because some of these direct to the C drive, and there's just nothing on it. You'd think that, unless they specifically deleted some files, but for some reason didn't format the entire drive, which would be way easier, especially if you're worried about privacy, because this is a business work laptop. What if there was some company secret on this that I'm not supposed to know about? I don't know. My pictures, nothing. Predictable. This laptop is actually really fast, all things considered. Okay, media. Awesome. This is like everything I think you could want. Yeah, lots of news sites, Disney, ESPN, Fox News, MSNBC, musicvideos.com. Never heard of that one. TV Guide, Universal Studios Online, Windows Media Showcase. Interesting. I wonder if maybe someone's kid was using this for like Disney or whatever. Oh, there it is, a URL. Awesome. I don't know why I have to go into a menu to see the URL. Thank God for the Omnibar. It's Microsoft.com. So they were probably, the forefronts of the internet back then. Links. Okay, that's it. Imported bookmarks from ICQ. That's not what I meant to say. Ooh, okay. Lots of interesting stuff here. All-Star Juggling. Let's see if we can make this a bit bigger. Palm Computing. Yeah, PDAs, that's what I'm all about. XML Home, Amazon. Amazon! Back when they were a bookstore. You see that? It says Earth's biggest bookstore. That's what it says. That's crazy. Let's see, American School University Magazine, Aperture Technologies. Don't imagine that's the kind that Portal has. This link is actually showing something. Can I look at this? Is it cached? No, it is not. Bank of America, Blue Line Online. I imagine this is for the day you could just save passwords to a web browser. Construction.com. Cub Scout. Daily Briefing. Okay, yeah, someone definitely had kids if they were talking about Cub Scouts. Discovery Online. Fair enough. Interest the kids. Department of Transportation. Florida Department of Transportation. And Georgia Tech. Where the hell is this computer from? Because it ended up in Montana somehow. Kansas course information. Or Karas, sorry. Damn it, I wish at least some of these pages were cached. This is so interesting. School Construction Designs, Puma Design, Switchboard, New York Times, Success. The internet just seems so vast, even from this freaking bookmarks bar. There's like at least 100 pages bookmarked. One unfortunate thing I noticed is that apparently the track point does not appear to work. I wiggle it back and forth and nothing happens. I'm pretty sure something should happen. And also it's sticky and it's falling apart. But at least it's not an IBM where it's coated in rubber. It's just plastic, you know. And I know the plastics on here are kind of brittle, but it's held up shockingly well, so I'm not going to complain. CMCIA slot in the socket one. I think I see that over on the side. We're going to get a better look at the hardware here in a second. Things, Adobe Gamma. If you were using this display to edit photos, I feel bad for you. This thing is like maybe 100 nits and it's yellow. Important update. I think we might have figured out when about this computer was used last. Look at these emails. This was sent in early 2008. And this is forward lesson plans for Science 6. I guess that'd be 6th grade. Yeah, I'm not going to blur out some of these email addresses because these are like educational email addresses, but these are, yeah, actual emails. So we did find something that's cached on the website, finally. And we're just trying to find going through the last of the software here. This is Quicken 6, which is like Intuit software. You might know them today as Quicken Loans. They do loans and stuff. This is basically, you know, money tracking software, and it looks like this guy's missed a lot of payments of about $50. This software called Expedition, yeah, we have no idea where it is. The only other software in here is stuff you already recognize. WinZip, that's been around for ages. You know, OfficeJet, HP, that's not interesting. And Microsoft Access, I'm definitely not going to have access to that. Get QuickTime Pro. QuickTime Pro, I never knew that was a thing. Infrared recipient. Maybe we can get drivers for that and see if they work, because I do imagine this computer has some. And unfortunately, all of the software in the start menu appears to be missing. I don't know where I'd find that. It's either been deleted or, you know, it's just in another place. So I think with that out of the way, we're going to get inside of this computer and see what it's made of. Now, it's kind of a miracle this thing works at all, because look what's just poured out of it. The remains of like several insects, I think. I don't know if my camera can focus on that, but those are like wings of like flies. Jesus, I should not have put that on my carpet. Anyways, after I cleaned that up very thoroughly, these are the drives inside of the computer. This is a floppy drive, CD drive, hard drive, and a plastic cover. That's not a drive. But they all came out pretty easily. In fact, the removable media just has little latches, and then the whole thing just pops out like that. I assume this is where you can go to upgrade some more RAM. 32 megabytes is honestly fine for a laptop of this era. This is where the hard drive would go. I don't know what interface that is, but it looks old. And indeed, this is exactly what it looks like. It's a 5.1 gigabyte something, if I flip it around, by IBM. So this is probably original. If I'm not mistaken, it looks like you could option this computer out to have extra batteries via those giant pin terminals. Because if you look at the back of these drives, they do not have giant pin terminals. And before this thing comes apart, which I'm obviously doing because it's probably nasty in there, I'm going to go over the I/O. There's a dock port right there. There is VGA and a parallel port. There's PS2 ports and a DC in jack. And this really surprised me. There is video outputs, of course, but also USB, which I think is probably the USB 1.0X or whatever standard. This is a joystick port, that's kind of surprising to see, and a phone modem, and whatever this is, which seems to connect to a phone because that's a symbol on the side of it. On the other side, not a whole lot. There's just PCMCIA slots, and we're going to finally see what this is. This is an Etherlink 3 PC LAN PC card. I don't really know how to get this thing to work, but that hopefully means that maybe I can connect to a local internet connection, or just another computer. I don't really know how to set those things up. This appears to be one of those computers where the keyboard area comes off first, and this thing is gross, monumentally so. There's dirt, dust, and bug parts everywhere. Like I said, it's a miracle this thing even turns on and works flawlessly at all. So yeah, this thing is going to get a deep clean, and we're also going to see what exactly is hiding underneath this keyboard. Good lord, that's even worse than I thought it would be. I don't know if you guys can see that. I might have to put in some close-ups on the bug guts that are covering this motherboard. Unfortunately, I don't have like sanitary gloves, so I'm going to try my best to remove these cables with my screwdriver and then get this thing outside for a good bath. Jesus, take that out. This keyboard was typing, I think, just fine. Even more cables. There's so many cables connecting one keyboard. That will go to the side. Ew. Ew. Gross. At least the motherboard doesn't look terrible. I figured the bug guts would be more corrosive, but maybe this happened just recently. Actually, on second thought, I think it's okay to do this inside since I have a vacuum. And if you're worried about static electricity, well, I'm not. And I'm using some denatured alcohol here to help loosen up some of the stuff. It's not plugged into power anyways, I'll just wait for it to dry and stuff. And yeah, this is gonna take some elbow grease. Cheap toothbrushes work wonders sometimes. That's why I always have one around. So unfortunately, I realized that this is not going to be a full disassembly video because the only situation where I do that is if I have a computer that is not working at all. This computer works flawlessly. I mainly just wanted to prevent any corrosion problems from getting worse, and the motherboard is free of bugs. So unfortunately, you guys aren't going to see what the underside of this thing looks like. I bet it's pretty boring because the CPU and what looks like the graphics chip are just on top. The keyboard cleaned up reasonably well. I got most of that corrosion off, but you can see some spots where it ate away at the plating. I don't know how to fix that, but it looks acceptable, I think, especially since it's on the inside. One thing I found interesting is I found out why the hinges are still going. It's because they're the size of my freaking pointer finger. These are huge, they're beefy. And the best thing about them is that they're reinforced with the entire frame and with one of the longest screws going into the chassis. So this goes through the top case, through the bottom, and then gets screwed into the bottom case. It's about the strongest way you could possibly think to secure a hinge, and I am kind of bewildered that Apple didn't use this for their PowerBooks. But yeah, there's just too much a risk here. This LCD is probably irreplaceable. I don't want to break anything else. I don't know how to want to forget how to put it back together, so it's just going to go back together like that. And I took some time cleaning the keyboard, and now it's a lot less grimy. I thought this area was like grime, but it's apparently paint just kind of bubbling off of the frame, so I decided not to touch that anymore. But after a nice wipe down, this computer actually looks pretty good. And it didn't look that bad to begin with, so I think this is going to be a really decent Windows 95, 98 machine. But anyways, let's see what this thing can do. I don't know really how to install games onto old computers like this. I mean, I could obviously burn a CD, but I don't have any CDs. I only have DVDs. and I accidentally took the entire drive out just then. That's not good for it. You might remember this lovely box of floppy disks I received in that video where I blew up the Toshiba T5100 sitting off screen. But there's a lot of interesting floppies in here, so I guess we're gonna see if we can do anything with them. First up, MS Games. So I took the drive apart just to see what was wrong, and I suppose that'll do it, won't it? I just realized that the glare from the light over here is not helping things at all, so I'm just using the room lights. Also, the floppy drive is back in one piece. Hello, it is me again, and it's been a couple days, and I have ruminated about how the hell I'm going to get software onto this thing. And I have decided that I am lazy. I could use floppies. I don't have floppies. Well, I have floppies, but I don't know how the hell to copy files onto them. I could use a CD, except I don't have CDRs. I only have DVD-Rs. I could try sending something over one of these ports, like the serial port would probably work. Do I feel like doing that? No, I don't. So, this thing has a USB port. It does. So we're going to see if that for some reason works. So the computer is looking, it recognizes something is here. I saw a USB symbol, but it needs a driver. NS DCR 30A2 or 3QA2. I don't know. The font is weird. Like, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get physical media onto this thing. I might literally just have to find CD-ROMs, I think. And guess who just remembered that they actually own a compact flash adapter specifically for PCMCIA slots, which I think is like what's in here. It fits and it was recognized, so now I'm going to copy something onto this card and hope it works. Okay, so try as I might, I have not been able to successfully get software onto this computer. This, in the CD drive, if it'll ever eject, I actually burned the ISO to Roller Coaster Tycoon onto a CDRW. I found one, and I burned it, and I think I did so correctly. You can, see it on the disc, and it's verified and all that, but I am not able to get it to show up here. It just says that the drive is not ready. I don't know if that's the problem with the CD drive, or the disc, or something else with the operating system. I don't know enough about this to really diagnose it, but unfortunately, we aren't going to be able to see what the performance of this computer is like in games. I have literally tried everything. I also even tried unzipping Quake 2, but that is taking absolutely forever, and look, it encountered problems. So I don't think this is going to work, unfortunately. But this video is not all over. It's going to be a two-parter, because I got this floppy drive working consistently now, and we have a lot of floppies to explore. So in the second part to this video, we're going to be seeing what's on all these 3.5-inch discs. And fun fact, you can store a surprising amount in 3.44 megabytes because that's just what they had to do back in the day. Anyways, I will see you in that video.